guy who share, and I am sharing with you today Fat Loss Tuesday, and we're going to talk about the politics of nutrition. But before I get into that, because I'm delivering this message while I'm in the beautiful state of Florida, and I need you guys to let me know that you can hear it. Somebody comment, whether you're on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, just let me know that I can hear you, Mr. Robert Ferguson. And if you can, then I will share this message with the goal of inspiring you, forcing what you already know, putting you in a better position so that you can leverage all that's available to you to live your best and healthiest life. So again, I'm just going to wait until someone says, Robert, I hear you. You got to catch me live because I'm in the midst of this hurricane. And in being in a hurricane, the software is constantly telling me that your internet connection may not be good. And if it's not good, I don't want to go on a rant and share a ton of information that is missed. I've been here before. This has happened before, my friends. Other than that, somebody talk to me, give me an update. Where you at? I just need to know that the message is coming out clear. You know, I got one, I got two, I got three. I see there's 7, 8. Okay, we're over 20. Okay, different places. All right, we just hit 50. But I need someone to raise their hand. I need somebody to step up and say, Robert, I can hear you. All you gotta do is just type it in the comment section. Robert, hear you loud and clear. Hey, Robert, catching you live. Hey, Robert, what do you mean by the politics of nutrition? Like, what does that mean? And why is that important for the average person to understand? How can having clarity around the politics of nutrition help a person lose weight? How can understanding the politics of nutrition help a person become healthier? Better yet, how can understanding the politics of nutrition help you avoid all the negatives that come with, you know, being able to be as healthy as possible? Okay, I'm just going to wait. Somebody's going to step up and they're going to comment, and then I'll be notified that you can hear me loud and clear, and then we will move on. Now, I will share with you until I get somebody who can like let me know that you can hear me, as that's my test. So if you're on here live, if you're catching me live, just do me a favor, even do a thumbs up in the comments. Give me back so I know that while I'm in the midst of a hurricane, my message is being delivered. I need somebody to say, Robert, we hear you. So we hear you, Robert. You're coming through loud and clear, or you're broken up, or I see you're live but can't hear anything. I just need some type of feedback before I continue forward in information. So if you are catching this live, no matter where you are, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, do me a favor and go in the comments and just say, Robert, we hear you loud. I need someone to give me that verification. It looks like we have over 30. We're now at 45 in the platforms, and it's starting to escalate. And I don't know if anybody can hear me. So I need somebody to go, Robert, we hear you live. We can hear you. So somebody step up. And I apologize for those of you who have been on here, or you're catching a replay and a good amount of time is going by. I will get to it, but I'm just looking for confirmation that while I'm sitting in Florida in the midst of a hurricane, I need to make sure that the software. So can someone please let me know that you can hear me loud and clear? Somebody, somewhere. Somebody, somewhere. Okay, are you catching me? Jesus. All right, hey, so Robert Senya, thank you. I'm getting to go. You can hear me in North Carolina. Thank you very much. Now I can jump into the okay. Look, I'm going to share something with you. that I'm going to say a large majority of the population never even thought about. And that is the politics of nutrition. We're in a political season, and politics tend to divide a lot of people. And everyone has an opinion. Well, if you look at religion, the exact same thing. There's a lot of division, and everybody has an opinion. Some people grow up Christian, some people Muslim, some people in the middle, some people go with an alternative approach, and people are willing to argue and fight over their beliefs of what is an ideal religion, right? So they're pushing their beliefs on everybody else, and that's what creates the separation. The same thing happens in politics. Share with you, this is not just about politics. I'm going to share with you something that you want to know. And if you don't know, it's unfortunate, but that's why I'm compelled. And that is that there are politics around nutrition. And this, and what I'm going to share with you, and why it's important that you know, is so important. And it's not really the importance of the policies that come about because of politics as it pertains to nutrition. It's more about you being in the know, right? So if I look at the Democratic or the Republican Party, I don't agree with everything each party is pushing. And that's why I don't have a party. And when I say I don't have a party, that doesn't mean I don't vote for someone who's a Democrat, or I don't vote for someone who's an independent, or someone who's a Republican. I vote for whoever I believe is going to represent the values. Let me say that again. For whoever I believe is going to represent the things that I value and believe are important to me. So that's why I don't have a. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not. And my family recently, we had a gathering, and I wasn't able to be there in Indiana. And in that photo, they said the real Democrats, because my family is primarily made up of the Democrats. That's my family. Now, because I'm not 100% on board with everything they believe from the Democratic side, then they would send me a photo like that and give me a hard time because I'm not wearing the banner Democrat. And I grew up in a household where and you vote Democrat, almost like you put on blinders and you just go and vote Democrat. That's just what you do. And again, I have voted for people who are Democrat, who represent that party. I have voted for people who are Republican. I'm in the middle because I look at the policies and I look at who I believe is going to represent values that are close to what I believe. But I'm going to risk to go live the best of internet service. In Florida, I record this and share, and we're in the middle of a hurricane, and someone may be coming on new or early. Let's get to my point. Okay. At the government, we have in place this thing called the dietary guide. And the U.S. dietary guides are designed to give some type, and recommendation for people on how to eat. Information that they believe to be true. And sounds great on the outside, but when you know the details of what's going on the inside, it can, because people who aren't informed, which is most people. So most people who are hearing me, okay, thank you. Looks like I was starting to break up, so I apologize. So hopefully, thank you. I appreciate that. Um, Robersenya, I think I'm saying that right. Thank you very much. Um, because one, I'm going to share it. I'm sure I'll share this again because this is really important. What I'm going to share, and people, the average citizen, no matter what your political party, no matter who you are, if you live in America, and that includes a lot of countries like Australia and Canada, it works the exact same. And that is that have become policy. And once it becomes policy, it becomes law. And when it becomes law, it's institutionalized. So what do I mean by that? Institutionalized, when you go to prison, whatever the US dietary guidelines speak to, or whatever they say, that is how the food is delivered to that prisoner. So they say it should be higher and lower in saturated fat. If that's the guidelines, then that's why the food. Institutionalized also mean if it's policy, right, and it's the law, what ends, then that's what it is, right? And it's not a state by state thing. This is federal. So let's say that you find yourself living in assisted living or retirement home, and they have cooks and cafeterias that are making the foods available to you. They must adhere to the US dietary guidelines. So the same guidelines that dictate what the food looks like in prison are the exact same guidelines that they follow when you live in a nursing home, assisted living, and they have people who are making food available to you. Let's say that you in a situation where you go to a cafeteria in college, or maybe you're in kindergarten, first grade, and a lot of people complain about the food that's made available in schools. Well, that's all based on, again, the US dietary guidelines, which are established because of policies which are dictated because of politics. That you become a nutritionist or a registered dietitian. Well, exactly the way you're trained is all based on the US dietary guidelines. Registered dietitian is supposed by law to recommend a way of eating that is compliant with the US dietary guidelines. Are you following me? Okay, I'm telling you, this is about to get crazy. Now, because a lot of times people don't think about that, right? They just think, okay, there's the US dietary guidelines, and if you and I are at home together, or you're traveling around, or you can do whatever you want, you can eat the way you want. Because we have this thing called freedom of speech, which books can be made available and people can have different thoughts. And that's part of the whole freedom. You could do a diet like South Beach, or you could do Weight Watchers, or you could, go with Diet Free Life, or whatever program or diet plan you go with. All of that is protected by freedom of speech. And it doesn't have to be compliant with the US diet. Institutionalized, then it has to be by law in compliance with the US dietary guidelines. And this is where politics come into play. And now, is every 5 years, they do an update on the U.S. dietary guidelines, which even the manufacturers of food and products, they have to look at and adhere to U.S. dietary. So when you're, I mean, people don't get it, but the government plays a huge role in how food is manufactured, what has to be regulated. You know, like when I talk about oil, I know that the FDA has in place guidelines, standards that must be met before olive oil can be made available on shelves. But I also know that the FDA, the government, has not established guidelines for avocado oil. And that's why when UC Davis did their investigation, they learned that over 80% of avocado oil is adulterated. And what adulterated means is that it's not always avocado oil. Most of it is soybean oil or different oils as fillers. And we just assume when you go to the store that if it says avocado oil, that it's going to be avocado oil. And that is not true. It's not always true. And there are people who really want to be healthy, and they're consuming things more sick and hindering their quality of life. Okay. So this is a buildup. I'm going there. And again, you know, my favorite book says, "My people perish for the lack of knowledge." They fall short because they're not informed. You must be informed. So right now, the U.S. dietary guidelines frame most of their nutrition and the recommendations around where they believe people will fall short on overall nutrients, which is a positive thing. But they encourage people to consume foods or ingredients that make up foods or that are part of foods that the science is extremely clear that is causing you to have poor health. Is causing you, is increasing your likeliness to develop cancer. It's increasing your likeliness to gain unwanted body fat. It's increased to be sick. Okay. And that's all politics. Because if people are making money with certain ingredients being in foods, man, and there are organizations that protect, even though we know it's not good. If it doesn't kill you immediately, but it can cause you to be sick, they just let it just be. Because if you look at how industry works, right? Because a lot of people and a lot of you will go, yeah, the pharmaceutical industry is bad. They want us to be sick. Well, yeah, they may be okay, but they want you to be sick for as long as possible. Because the longer you're sick, the more money can be made because you're sick. And that's a win-win. We don't want to just ban certain things. We want to make it where people are more sick for longer periods of time, and we can make more money. As far as their entire job, every day they wake up, if you uninformed, because uninformed, they keep selling things, and you know, everybody Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we start eating all different things, fully unaware that what we're eating has a compound effect. And when I say that means it's not acute. It's eating it for 5, 7, 8, 10 years, 20 years, getting older, not being active. Pounds in your body manifests into so many different diseases, to include cancer. And if you're not informed and you're just going with the status quo, and you can see that when I look at regular politics, I watch people just vote. They just go in. If they're Democrat, they just check vote, vote, vote. They just check Democrat. I see the same thing. Just check if they're Republican, and that's why I can't do that, because if I'm aware of someone's policies and their thoughts, let's say I am Democrat, then it's like, nah, I'm not down with that. So I don't vote with labels. I'm going to vote based on how it's going to impact my life and what I believe is in more alignment with the things that are important to me. So let's say I'm a Republican, right? Let's not do that, because people, they just say, okay, yeah, you are a Republican. No, I'm not. I'm not any. I don't claim any of that. Only thing I've claimed in my life is being a daddy, being a U.S. Marine. I was very proud to claim both of those titles. A martial artist, I'm proud to claim that. I'm proud to claim that title. That being said, I don't want to claim a title when it comes to American politics. I'm gonna pick with what makes the most sense. And most people that I'm watching, they don't choose based on that. But let's say I'm a Democrat, and as a Democrat, let's say that I'm okay. Actually, and the person that I really want to vote for, they totally are okay with vegetable oils. To them, and I show them how vegetable oils, there's a whole bunch of papers support the reality that vegetable oils are harming. If I vote for that person, they're going to get one bigger step away from. So I couldn't vote for that person because I know that to be true, right? About regular politics, I vote for someone, even though that person is totally okay with, you know, people being able to take drugs recreationally, like, and I'm not talking about marijuana, I'm talking about, and heroin. They think that should be legalized. They didn't agree with that person, but they voted for that person because they hated the other party more. Wow. I can't, I can't, I could never do that. If I believe that vegetable oils are harmful to people, I'm not going to vote for someone who endorses the use of vegetable oils. I could never do that. This is where I believe the world is kind of thrown off, because we don't really look at policies, right? People's positions on policies as it ties into politics. We look at them from a personal standpoint. And then okay, I'm not voting for that person. Wow. Like, I mean, help me understand how do we get to a place where we can avoid or just put our head in the sand and not look at the realities of what's a reality, because we don't like the way a person tweets or we don't like the way a person looks. I'm looking at the job that you can get done. And from a nutrition standpoint, I am really working hard in the next 5 years to team up with the right people so that we can create some proposals for policy that would make people healthier. And this is not going to be easy. This is really going to be difficult because money is involved. I mean, did you know that as a country, just in the United States, we're spending 1 billion every day as it pertains only to type 2 diabetes? 1 billion. I mean, think about that. That's $365 billion. And in the last year and a half, I helped completely reverse their type 2 diabetes, which means that's significant savings for this country. Wow. And if more people knew what we talk about on a regular basis, they could remove themselves from being a type 2 diabetic. And we wouldn't have to spend $1 billion a day. And what's interestingly, we'll blame the pharmaceutical companies. No, no, no. Look around. Look at the meals that people post on Facebook. Look at the food that people are eating on a regular basis on Instagram. Go to someone's home and just watch what they're eating. But yet you have conversation, they blame the pharmaceutical companies. I don't blame the pharmaceutical companies. They're making money. I'm not blaming a whole bunch of those people. What I'm blaming, if there were a place to put blame, is whatever reason we can come up with or understand that puts a person in a position where they are not informed. Because if you knew what I knew about certain foods, you would eat different without question. It's kind of like if I poured you a glass of cyanide and I said to it, but you know if you drink it, you're going to die. Not tomorrow, but like pretty quick. I doubt if you would drink it. Now, if you have mental health issues, you're one step from suicide. Okay, yeah, you would drink it because it's actually going to help you get to where you want to be. But if most people know that it's cyanide, they're not going to drink it and then fall to taking control of. And that's the same thing as politics. You can't complain, if some governor or some, politician is in favor of keeping less criminals in jail and making it possible for them to be able to walk around and do what they do. And then they kill someone you love and you find out that they just did something bad 2 days ago, and because they're in place, they could just get right out of jail 24 hours and go commit another crime. Then I think you would choose differently. But again, we don't really look at policies into the politics. And I believe I think there's benefits to having two parties, Republican, Democrat, as far as labels. But I see a little, because people aren't free thinkers. And I'm not saying you're not a free thinker. I'm just saying a lot of people aren't. And they have a very difficult time being able to separate themselves from the political party and look at the policies, the issues. I mean, I'm going to use Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump, as an example. Great example. Because when I look at him, and a lot of people that I know, their mind can't even get what I'm saying right now, because they're filled with hate. Like, there's so many people filled with just hate and bias that they can't even see anything good from certain people. And I'm talking about Trump right now, right? So I was a John McCain fan because when I was in the U.S. Marines, he spoke at an event we had, and he shared his story about when he was caught behind lines and was a prisoner of war. And the way he shared his story, man, it had me in tears. It was inspirational. It made me feel even more patriotic, and I just had a love for John McCain. And if you know me at all, I've been a martial artist since I was and I'm a big fan and supporter of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, the UFC. And at one point, when the UFC was struggling to get on air and struggling to needs to be pulled off the air, the UFC. So John against the UFC. This is a guy that I really like. And when he was against the UFC, it really, because he was against something that I really believed in, and I saw it differently than him. But I didn't throw John McCain under the bus on McCain. We just had a different opinion. Fast forward, I've met Donald Trump, and 2 times I met him, he was really nice to me. And then when he was running for president, or had become president, he had made fun and said some really negative things on Twitter about John McCain. And it really bothered me. Now, here it is. I meet Donald Trump, and very kind. I felt he could bring some positive things to the political world. And then he did that thing against John McCain, and I really got upset. But I didn't throw Trump under the bus. I did not like his tweet about John McCain. Same as I did not like John McCain's tweet about the UFC. But I didn't just walk away from them, because McCain, as a politician, represented many of the values that I have. Same as I felt, Bill Clinton, represented a lot of things that I liked. But I wasn't a fan of the alleged, you know, entanglements that he had. And I didn't like everything that he was about, but there was things I liked about him. And I got to meet Bill Clinton once, and his charisma was he was very charismatic. It was great, but he wasn't like over the top crazy with some of his ideas. So I could see why people voted for Bill Clinton, same as I could see why people voted for Ronald Reagan. Again, it's one of those things, like, know what's important to you and then follow that line. So when it comes to nutrition, I'm watching closely. I know what the Biden administration is getting ready to come out with. And I really don't even put down Biden for this. I don't. Because it's all hidden from him. We need to find someone that would be willing to go for broke. And that means speak for the truth as it pertains to nutrition. Nutrition more than anything else out there being talked about. way more money is on the line from various different parties, even compared to the pharmaceutical world. The pharmaceutical world is making the most money, but they don't want the nutrition to change so that people are healthier. And then the people who are creating the products, the chips and the things that we're eating that may have certain ingredients in it that they don't want to change. I mean, that's a ton. I mean, they've put millions, billions of dollars into researching and making it where their product can be on shelves for long periods of time. The last thing is for the government to say you got to change or take that ingredient out. We saw that happen with trans fats. Trans fats got introduced early, and you had a lot of trans fats, and a lot of politicians were being paid to help protect it so that things wouldn't change. And we know that over 50,000 people died every year eating trans fats. And the government continued to, because the lobbyists were helping that and the politicians didn't even want to hear it until enough evidence came about. And then Harvard's medical group got on board that they had to acknowledge how bad it was. And then the FDA had to ban it because the evidence was so clear. Now, before the evidence was so clear, to 20 years before that, we already knew that. And we were out there looking like people promoting conspiracies. You want to be informed, you guys. This is not anything new. You want to be informed. And when it comes to politics, that is the biggest challenge that we have as far as getting the nutrition to change. And at this moment, the policies are in place for some horrible stuff to be put in front of you in the next year. So as I share this with you, it's 2022. It's almost 2023. In 2023, certain policies will be put that will take years for us to reverse it. And for those who are not informed, man, help me get the word out to them, because it's killing a lot of people and is really shortening the quality of their life. So there you have it. I'm Robert Ferguson, you guys. I share because I care. There are politics that frame nutrition, and it's important that we are all aware of it. There are politics that frame nutrition. And I would love to see more people question about this, but they're not informed. Why would they make any changes? They have access to food. They probably have people cooking their food. Now, if they're just not aware of certain things, okay, they're not aware. And I'm talking about the people who can make changes with policy. But some of them are, and they still are doing nothing because they're not eating the shit that a lot of people are eating. And they know that it's hindering the quality of their lives. They know that it's inflammation that then contributes toward various cancers. They're aware of that, but they don't got to think about it. It's kind of like when you go into the store and you buy a steak or you buy chicken. You don't know what that chicken or what it looked like before it was put into a nice package. We just get used to buying what's in the package and not knowing the backstory. We buy the presentation and just jump on board. Anyway, there are politics, you guys, around this stuff. And it's important for us to know better. And if you don't know better, you really can't do better. So awareness, which means education, is what gives you clarity to do what is going to serve your best interests. And this is also what I refer to as being mindful. You can't be mindful if you don't even know what to be mindful. So anyway, your body is what's important in your health. There are politics around all of that. So I don't care what your party is, what group you claim. All I can tell you is that you deserve to be informed instead of just going with the status quo. That's my riff for today. And it's a political time, but how we take care of ourselves, the foods that we get access to, the way we eat those foods, all of that plays a huge role in what your quality of life will be like. And you don't want to be that person who out of nowhere experiences these negative things and then find out that what you had been eating or what ingredients were in certain foods you just were consuming, and you get mad because you wish someone had told you better. Okay. That's it. That's my share for today. I share because I care, and I hope it was helpful. Again, I delivered this. Sorry if the sound was broken up. I apologize, but I'm in the middle of a hurricane in the beautiful state of Florida. I'm very thankful to be in the beautiful state of Florida. And it's great to experience a hurricane because this is my very mild, so I'm gonna be thankful for that. And God bless those who went through some of the recent hurricanes that literally, like one of my clients and friends and fellow coaches, her life has been turned upside down. Uh, and hopefully this thing passes soon. All right. So thank you. God